Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Gamers Galaxy. I'm your host Mark Bridge, and I'm here with Zach Wojnar.
That's me.
And boy, do we have a show for you guys. So it's official. The place we can be rest easy now. The Sony event happened, and it wasn't about Jet Moto in HD.
I wanted Jet Moto in HD.
But it was in fact about the PlayStation 4. And
There have been 3 Jet Motos, PlayStation 4, launcher Jet 4.
I don't know.
Single chat can get back together.
I guess. But they came out, they showed the only thing. So first, let's talk about what they didn't show, considering that
Well, they didn't show the actual console.
yeah, which I think it may I'm half and half with that. Maybe it's a because the thing is, all right, they showed the specs, but not everything about the specs. They're showing what kind of architecture they're using, but not the exact details of the power of that said architecture. And I think because they're announcing it so early, they probably don't want Microsoft to say, all right, since they're doing this, let's one up on them, And then they didn't show the form factor, which I don't know why. I mean, why not show it? Maybe they don't have it finalized yet. Which could be the case.
I think part of it is they don't want debacle like when they showed the PlayStation 3 with the boomerang control.
Right.
And no one liked it, and so they thought that was going to be the PlayStation 3, even after they had proven that to not be the case.
Yeah. But then
I think they're going to wait till they have they had the final controller, so they showed that.
Yeah.
But they don't have the final system, so they didn't show that.
Okay, but wouldn't it be smart for them to do that so that they can get all the negative feedback out of the way, so they can know, all right, they don't want this, rather than show it close to release where they already got the design locked and it's too late to change it.
Well, I think they got I think that they are getting the feedback. I just don't think they want it from the public. They mentioned a lot in the press conference how they're working with
the
developers.
Yeah.
And so I think that developers have seen various incarnations and have said yes, have said no, have said we want this, we don't want this.
But I think, for the developers, which is a good thing for Sony that they're doing this.
Definitely,
great
especially since the PS3 is kind of notorious, especially at the beginning, for being hard to develop for.
But then, wouldn't the developers' feedback more geared towards the insides of the PlayStation? I mean, why do they care if the box looks like a toaster oven or something? You know what I mean? That's not what they should be really focusing on, but just more how...
Well, they're developers, but they're also consumers. Right. Everyone's a consumer.
Uh-huh.
And I think when you put it to, the mass public, everyone's going to want everything.
Okay.
I mean, if you go to the mass public and say, what do you want? They're going to want everything, and they're going to say that everything also sucks.
Right. And then...
So, I think having a smaller focus group of professionals, developers, is much more effective, if that's even what they're doing. Maybe they're just, sitting on their thumbs, I don't know. But that would be more effective than sending it out to the internet. Besides, you got E3 to look forward to.
So another thing that wasn't shown, which a lot of people kind of speculated that, will make the transition from PS3 to PS4, considering how they've been missing for a while, is The Last Guardian and Final Fantasy Versus 13.
Right. Neither of those showed up.
Yeah, so, bad thing, good thing, what do you think?
Well, they've been in development for so long, I actually would have been surprised if they had showed up.
Right.
I mean, I would like for both of those games to be on PlayStation where they started.
Right.
I would not be surprised if they moved to PS4. I wouldn't be surprised if they're outright canceled. Although I've heard that The Last Guardian has been outsourced to Santa Monica Studios,
Uh huh.
and Square Enix seems pretty content with Final Fantasy 13 2 and Lightning Returns.
Right.
So I would not be surprised if 13 versus 13 was outright canceled.
Mhm.
I know we'll be seeing less at some point,
Okay.
but versus 13, as awesome as it looked, I'm afraid that that might be dead on arrival.
Yeah.
I think that either that or it'll be kind of a last hurrah on the PlayStation 3. I don't think they'll want to cross since they're working on quote unquote a new Final Fantasy
Right.
for PlayStation 4. We don't know if there will be if they'll want to have Versus 13 and Final Fantasy 15 or whatever they decide to do. It's a speculation for another board.
Or then,
Um,
or maybe the fact that I mean, if they do say, they did come out and say we're going to announce a new Final Fantasy at E3. Who's to say when that Final Fantasy is going to come out? So in the interim, like for as a launch title, Versus 13 could be a launch title considering how long it was in development, right?
yeah, but Square has a history of not releasing their big guns, their Final Fantasies, as
Right.
launch titles.
Right. Right.
I mean, Final Fantasy X was so important that the graphics engine that they used, they tested it on the Bouncer. The Bouncer, which was an awesome, underrated, but not really underrated game from 2001, like early in the PlayStation 2's life cycle, was created just to justify the graphics of Final Fantasy X. They ran on the same engine. I don't know. Did you ever play the Bouncer?
Yeah, I haven't played the Bouncer before, but go ahead.
Right. That game was basically created to test run the tech that would be running Final Fantasy X.
Right.
So I don't think that. I mean, they would need a lot of confidence in their not just their tech, but in the PlayStation 4
Right. Right.
if they would go out of the gate with a Final Fantasy, which they hold near and dear, despite what certain plot lines like 13-2 and the compilation of Final Fantasy 7 would say. Otherwise,
The reason why
venture.
I was saying that is, the Final Fantasy Versus 13 and even the Last Guardian, like their main issue was that they were having problems with the PS3 in terms of setting up on that machine. Like I don't know if it was just not
Well,
enough
if that
memory.
was the main problem, I mean, I think that especially when it comes to the Last Guardian, the problems were much deeper. It can only be described, as creative differences.
Right. So I don't know if maybe if the infrastructure of the PS4 will give them more breathing room in terms of, oh, okay, now we can sort of like just lay it out and pretty much have what we already had and then just put it on the PS4 so it's like already ready to go. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, they're taking a Final Fantasy and putting it on an untested machine, but rather a Final Fantasy that they've been developing for quite some time now and putting it on a machine that gives them more of a leeway. If that,
Possibly.
yeah.
Actually, in thinking about it, the tech demo that they did show is not officially a game. It's just a tech demo
Yeah,
for
yeah,
now.
right.
But
Which they
the
already showed already, which
the
is a kind of
aesthetic was kind of similar to what we've seen from Final Fantasy 13
right,
versus 13, just from a different part of the world. Versus 13, its whole marketing back when it was still a thing
right.
was that it was kind of set in a plausible reality kind of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's Final Fantasy, but a little done, dragons and magic, but in a real world.
Mhm.
And in this trailer, we had guys with AK-7s shooting at sorcerers.
Yeah. Which
So
which is a demo that was shown during E3 of last year, just
it was
behind closed
similar to
doors.
it, yeah.
Yeah. But
And so I would like for don't hold me to this, but it's plausible that that video is actually from whatever version of Final Fantasy Versus 13 they're at by now.
yeah, yeah. But
See, I can speculate too. If My speculation is much more plausible than a Shield Castle crossover, or what puppy dogs on Game of Thrones or whatever you said.
What? Puppy. Okay. So yeah. So that was Square Enix and Final Fantasy, and what we didn't. Oh, another thing that wasn't shown, which really we didn't really expect to see, but it would have been nice. An Uncharted 4, perhaps.
That would have been nice, but I don't think they're ready yet. One thing that I would have liked to have seen, completely unrelated to PlayStation 4, was the Vita price drop that they had announced in Japan.
Which is now confirmed that it's not going to happen in the West.
Really?
Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah, that totally blows. but then what? Like, why drop it? I mean, it's probably technically more expensive over there, isn't it? If you convert the yen into dollars, it's probably a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's worth it for them, but not over here, I guess.
Yeah.
But now we can move on to what we actually saw at the press conference, and the first thing we can talk about is the controller, which was leaked. The prototype was leaked.
And it looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it looks a little bit different from the prototype that we actually saw, because the prototype we saw didn't have the 2 extra buttons, like the share button.
Right.
And
share and option.
Yeah. And then you have the touch interface, the touchpad interface, kind of similar to the Vita the back of the Vita.
But smaller.
Yeah. Replacing the start and select button, of course. So which will, I think, is gonna be used more for like a cursor, like you just move your hand to over it, sort of. I don't know why you wouldn't use the analog controller, but who knows what these touch base.
Yeah, but then how are you gonna pause the game?
Well, I guess with the touch base, the pad or whatever. I have no.
Are any games even going to be using this touchpad, or are they just going to have it as a replacement for start and select?
Maybe. I have no
I think
idea.
not having a start and select somewhere. I mean, I really can't see where they would put it because the controller is pretty full.
Right.
But having the touchpad replace start and select might be a little counterproductive.
Yeah, probably. Or maybe the touchpad is kind of like you can press it, kind of like the L3 R3.
Oh, maybe it'll click. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So maybe you can click it on the right, and that's the start button, or click it on the left.
I love that, except for when you use R3 to do a melee hit in a shooter. Yeah. Because whenever I'm dashing or moving around and trying to line up a shot, I end up pushing it, even by accident. Like, man, I'm playing Call of Duty, and I'm running around, and I'm, shooting people, mostly getting killed. Right. Then I get one good shot, and I just swing my knife for no reason.
For no reason, yeah.
God damn it. So what I do is most games let you switch R3 and circle, which is usually crouch.
Yeah.
So I circle be my melee hit and R3 be my crouch.
Okay.
But
then wouldn't you crouch by mistake?
Well, that's fine. That won't, that'll just make me a smaller target.
Oh yeah.
That's not as big a deal. But
yeah.
But yeah, has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, all the time. But it usually happens to me. Like it's the opposite. It's the opposite in that it helps me out when I'm least expected. Like I would be running, and I'm turning a corner, and somebody all of a sudden is upon me, and like I mean to do something else, but because I hit the R3 button, I knife him. So it'd be like, oh my god, I'm saved, but I didn't do that on purpose. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So they showed the controller, and it looks pretty nice. It looks a little bit beefier. Oh, it also has that speaker that you wanted to see.
Yeah.
In it.
I'm so happy. Although I was thinking about it, and a lot of times when I play games, I play at night and wearing headphones.
Right.
So I'll have to think about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll just, ditch the headphones, but I really like my headphones.
And then it has the headphone jack where it looks like hopefully, cross fingers, that every system will be shipped with a headset, kind of like how Xbox did it.
There's a report that the Game Informer that the PlayStation 4 is indeed bundled with the headset.
Because especially with their whole initiative now for social integration to the next level. You have to at least give us the tools so that we
Yeah,
can be social.
I mean, it's a bitch when I play because whenever I play online with friends, which isn't that often, mind you, usually I'm more of a lone wolf,
Right.
but I use my Rock Band mic to
Mm-hmm.
communicate.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I've got that kind of like rested in my pocket
Mm-hmm.
while talking, and I'm sure they can't understand a thing I'm saying. I'm sure it just comes out,
Right.
but it's a little clunky.
So yeah, so that's the controller. Now let's talk about what's inside the box. Well, as much as they give us, because I'm sure there's more to it. The biggest thing already is that it's now 8 gigabytes of
Yeah,
memory.
8 gigabytes. Woo! I don't know what that means.
Well, considering that the PlayStation 3 was I think
512 megabytes.
yeah 512.
So that's like 14 times or so.
Yeah, the Xbox was I think 1.5 or 2 gigabytes. Um,
Oh,
it made it very difficult for developers. They had to pretty much use the cell to unload everything on it. You know, not only the graphics but as well as the memory and all that stuff. They had to use the cell. So now we have eight gigabytes.
the PlayStation 3 games tend to have bigger installs than on the Xbox.
Yeah. So now you have basically they're making the new console more PC like. You have 8 gigabytes. They're using the X86 CPU. They haven't named what kind of CPU they're using. They're just saying that the infrastructure is X86, which is pretty much any Intel or AMD processor. They haven't named it yet, and of course they have an enhanced PC GPU. Whether it's a dedicated or onboard, we're not sure yet. Uh, but pretty much it's a PC, and of course they have a hard drive, which is standard. Whether it's going to be a solid state or mechanical, we're not sure yet. Most likely it's going to be solid state, but that's kind of a little bit expensive, so it might be mechanical. So yeah, that's what they gave so far. They're still not letting you know exactly the names or too much of the specs again, because I don't know if they want to protect that from Microsoft, not having them one of them in the end. But it's a pretty beefy rig. So let's talk about the interface now, the social integration. What do you think of what they have so far?
I like it. I think one of my secret pastimes
Uh-huh.
is playing Uncharted 3 online, then saving my replays and editing them,
Right. So that
making myself look cool.
so the share button is gonna make it so much easier. Like you just press that button, you can uh, uh, allocate how much minutes you wanted to sort of record or upload, because I think it's always recording. Um,
Yep.
it's always recording while you're playing. So I guess I don't know. Say they haven't specified any sort of minute cap, but say you wanted to upload 15 minutes of your last gameplay footage, it's as simple as pressing that button and uploading it. And they, of course, partnered with Facebook and Ustream, so you can sort of spectate with the help of Gaikai. Now, Gaikai is going to be a big part of the new PSN infrastructure. Of course, Gaikai was the game streaming company that Sony purchased for like $380 million or something like that. Um, a lot of us wondered, maybe is it that they're gonna use it for backwards compatibility for the PS3, which is still a possibility. Is what they're saying. They just haven't revealed too much about that. But one thing they did reveal is that with the use of Gaikai, you'll be able to stream your PS4 games to not only the Vita. I think I don't know. Maybe I read it wrong, but not only to the Vita, but pretty much any sort of mobile device that you do have. You'll be able to stream not the PS4 game to your Vita, But when they were talking about the PS1, 2, and 3 games, they were talking about not only the Vita but also any mobile device that they have because they want to integrate a lot of all these peripherals.
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be remote play like on your iPhone
Right,
or whatever, but I think that there will be the other features,
right,
like the editing and the social aspect. I think that when it comes to remote play,
right.
they'll probably just be with the PlayStation Vita,
Okay.
but the social aspects, sharing, communicating,
Yeah.
will be able to be handled on your smartphone.
Right. And of course, spectating is going to be a big part of it. Like anyone, like your friends or I guess someone, can pretty much watch what you're playing. And now this is the part that really got me. If, like, say for instance, and I think you don't have to necessarily have the game, but like if I'm playing an Uncharted, and like I'm stuck at a part, you basically could take over control from your location and and play that part for me. That
Yep.
sounded
Yeah,
really
we
awesome.
all know that you suck at Uncharted, and I'm a master,
Right.
so I'll be able to make you suck less.
So that is pretty awesome. And a lot of their games, that, especially the first party games that they showed, and even some of the third party games, are going to be built around this new infrastructure of, social interaction. Um, uh, Whether it is just spectating or in game, which we'll talk about in a few minutes when we get to the actual games. Um, but is there anything else about the system that interests you before we get to the games?
Um, no, I just really like the little improvements on the controller.
Yeah.
I like, I mean, I won't really be able to tell until after I get my hands on it, but it looks like it will be a little bit more comfortable than the DualShock
Yeah.
3.
Now,
Makes sense.
did did it look like they are going to change the XMB, or was that just more like a temporary sort of interface when they were like describing all the social interactions, social hubs, and stuff like that? Is it that they're gonna revamp the XMB?
I don't know. They didn't mention the XMB, so I don't even know if it'll be there. The menu that they showed, I don't know if that's like the startup menu
Right. And what do you think?
or like I think that they will still have an XMB
Uh-huh.
with that menu kind of accessible within that.
Right. No. What?
But I think that for some people who just want to listen to CDs or play a game right away,
Yeah.
I think that the XMB will still be the quickest way. You know,
Hmm.
they also mentioned uh, like you shut off the game
Oh, right. You
and
shut.
then you don't actually shut it off, you put it to sleep,
Yeah.
and then you come back the next day or hours later, whatever, and you turn it back on, and you instantaneously are right back where you were
Yep.
without going through any menus, without going through any options, without going through any loading screens. You're right back where you were, and that is pretty awesome.
That's pretty. This is something I could have used, like, I don't know, when I was a kid. I remember playing those games and like you're almost beating it, but you have to either A, go to bed, or something else, and you pretty much
But
leave
gotta
the
go to
game.
work.
Yeah, you leave the game on. I remember, especially with Final Fantasy X, right? I had to go to work, and I was right there at the final boss. And instead of stopping it, I just paused it and went to work, came back, and just finished it.
I've done that.
So,
I don't want to know what my parents' electric bill was back in those days, but
yeah, so
I've done that.
So that's really a really useful tool, and of course, uh, dedicated memory, I guess, for downloading the games as well, so you can sort of play these games or even put it on standby mode and still be downloading your games, as well as play the game that you're downloading while you're downloading it. So that sounds pretty awesome. That's a feature that's pretty, like, I think the only game that I've seen use that is World of Warcraft, because it did allow me the option to play the game while it's being downloaded. So, but it's been moved to the console now, so that's great. More power to Sony for pulling that off. All right, now, so I think we can actually move on to the games now, right?
Yeah.
So, Killzone Shadow Falls.
That was probably the big one because you spend the first half of it wondering if it's pre-rendered or not.
Yeah.
Then it jumps into gameplay and you're like, oh, crap. That's real, huh?
Like, that thing looked amazing. Now, I do have sort of worry or hesitation on my part. I'm a guy who hates prequels. Um, Only a few prequels I like. I like the Spartacus prequel that they had with the
This
Gods
is
of
a
Olympus.
prequel? It could be a distant sequel.
Yeah, it could. They haven't specified. They haven't specified, but the reason why because I was looking at it, and a buddy of mine says, "Oh, so they're separate." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, there's a wall between, and it looks like one side is the Helgas side, and the other side is the Vectans. I'm like, and I looked at it again. I was like, "Holy crap!" But that's not how the story went. I don't get it. So I'm like thinking, is this when the war started, or is this? But then that's not how the story went. It was more like they landed on two different planets. So it could still be a sequel, but I'm worried that it may be a prequel on how the war between them started or whatever.
I mean, he. I think the story of Killzone is kind of an afterthought. They've got the Nazi allegory, the post-World War One
Yeah.
rise of the Nazis, or what the Helghast are compared to.
Right.
For a little while you're sympathetic to them, and then until you realize, oh wait, they're early Nazis. Gotcha.
So I mean, yeah.
But I don't think that the story is that important, especially Killzone 2. I mean, the writing was pretty atrocious.
Right. 3 was way better, but I look at 3 as I look at 2 more as a little prelude to 3, and 3
I haven't played 3 yet.
3 is pretty good, and the way that story ended, I wanted to see the continuation of that. You know what I mean? So again, it still could be a sequel that sort of, because there was an announcement trailer for the game as well, and it said 30 years ago, blah 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 happened, and now that all that's left out of the ashes is we're born of fire, or something like that. So it could be like either it is a prequel where they're telling the story of these people that went through a tragedy, or the for 30 years they've been waiting in the the wings for their revenge or something like that. But hopefully it's a sequel and it moves the story forward. But either way, the graphics looks really, really awesome on that game. I was like shocked, like you when I was seeing it. It's like, I really hope it's not a CG trailer or something like that. And then the way it was moving and stuff like that. And then when I actually saw that gun appeared, I was like, okay, yes, it's gameplay. I love it.
It was kind of like the Killzone 2 trailer.
Yeah.
You were like, oh wait, are they fooling us again?
I think they learned their lessons on that on that little front right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yep. So and then, but the first one they showed was Knack, which was that showed like that looked like a PS3 game. Like that looked like a game that could be on the PS3. So I don't know how special Knack is gonna be when it actually comes out.
I don't know. I thought it looked cute. I thought it looked really
Yeah,
cute.
it's a cute game. I love those.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a big, giant. I don't think it looked like a PS3 game. I think it looked way better. I think we're going to see a lot more of games with these exaggerated cartoon art styles.
Right.
Because if you have a game that looks as realistic as Killzone did, as that Final Fantasy tech demo does,
yeah,
that unless you really like, I mean, it's got to take a lot more man hours to make that look realistic.
Yeah.
Because you can render houses, and inside every single house. I mean, a Grand Theft Auto game is going to take 10 years to make. Fallout, Oblivion, all that. But I think that if you turn up the imagination, go full cartoon on it, then you can get something that looks still amazing, like Knack, which which me and my brother, who we were watching it together, thought was pre-rendered until like almost the very end
Mm-hmm.
when we started showing the gameplay.
Yeah.
Uh, it doesn't look photorealistic, but it looks miles beyond what's possible on PS3.
Right.
Compare it to say Sly Cooper
Mm-hmm.
uh, Through Time or whatever it's called. I forget. Sly Cooper Partners in Time.
Uh, the latest Sly Cooper.
Yeah,
Wasn't it Thieves in Time? Or
Thieves
something?
right. Partners in Time is Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
Or compare it to Ratchet and Clank
Yeah.
on the PS3.
Right.
There's definitely a big leap there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It looks pretty interesting and.
Like, I don't think all games need to be, at that realistic and
Yeah.
kind of
Well, not
gritty
you know what I'm
or
saying.
violent or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I wasn't really speaking on the necessarily the realistic look of it. It was just more of like, it doesn't look like it requires that much resources. Why it couldn't be on a PS3 title is what I was saying.
Uh,
Yeah, but yeah. Who knows? The game just he only showed like a couple of seconds of it, and when we do actually get a good look to the game, we could say, all right, yeah, I can see why it's a next gen title. Um, Drive Club. What did you think of that?
I'm not a big racing guy.
Right.
Like, I prefer the arcade racing, kind of like Burnout.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see how fans of that genre,
Yeah, and then
like Gran Turismo fans. I mean, there was no Gran Turismo reveal, which I'm sure a lot of people
yeah,
were hoping for.
and I
But they
actually
got
thought
that
that was
instead.
I thought that was
Yeah,
yeah.
but they
Actually,
got that instead.
yeah.
So I think that it will fill the void. I mean, the presentation was good. I don't think it's the kind of game that I'd be interested in playing,
Uh-huh.
but it looks like it'll definitely showcase the power of the console.
And it looks like uh it'll actually take advantage of this new social integration that's Sony's moving towards. Definitely with the whole like you could be at work or something and you set up a whole match from your smartphone and then sort of set the schedule and then people will tune into that match. So it's like one of those sort of worldwide event kind of gaming. So it looks pretty interesting. Again, like you, I'm not really a racer, but hey, it's something I could get behind. um,
Yeah, we pulled the race card,
yeah.
so to speak.
And what else? Infamous Second Son.
Infamous Second Son for me was the least impressive demo they showed.
Right.
I thought it looked like a pre-rendered cutscene,
Yeah, it didn't. Didn't it?
but not like a oh my god, it's so real. It's like a pre-rendered cutscene. Just in like a oh, that really looks like a pre-rendered cutscene.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and it didn't look, it looked like the kind of pre-rendered cutscene you'd see on a PS3 game.
Right. Right.
So I was not impressed. I was impressed with the presentation beforehand.
Yeah, that guy was so serious, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, it's a serious issue.
Oh my god.
And I'm looking forward. I've actually never played an Infamous game.
Uh-huh.
Although because of PlayStation Plus, I own all three entries, Infamous, Infamous 2, and Festival of Blood.
Right.
They're all on my hard drive. I just haven't played them yet.
Yeah, I'm probably about either a quarter or two and a half in the first game. So I still work on that. I think I have time before Infamous Second Son comes out. Hopefully, cross fingers.
Yeah, me too. So I think that I will hold off judgment until we really get a closer look at it.
Yeah.
But
Which maybe
overall, I was initially unimpressed.
yeah, which maybe by E3 we'll get some a good look at it.
Yeah.
What else? Deep Down, the working title from Capcom.
Right. That was really impressive. That I'd say was the most impressive for me.
Yeah, it's my only thing is, what were they showing a target rendered or were they showing actual engine sort of?
I'm sure it was just a target render.
Right.
Because the engine's being developed with the game.
Uh-huh.
At the same time, so they're probably not working on official PS3 spec, PS4 specs,
Right.
but I have high hopes that what we finally see will be very close to that.
Yeah. And Media Molecule. They showed what is it? Media? No, it's
Media Molecule.
yeah. They showed, was that a game or was that just sort of a tech demo? I wasn't
Um,
quite sure.
I've got the feeling it's probably going to be a little bit both.
Right.
And I think that they want to. I mean, because their motto, it was the PS3's motto, but they're holding on to it. Is the play, create, share.
Yeah.
So, there will be a game like Little Big Planet,
Right.
but a big portion of it will be creating and sharing your creations made with PlayStation Move.
Which also shows that they're not completely abandoning that technology. In fact, which we didn't mention, the controller has that blue sensor bar, which will, and I don't know if this is going to come with the system. Hopefully it does, with that bar with the two cameras that'll track the controller.
Yeah. One camera will track the controller. One camera will make sure that you appear in HD.
Yeah. So hopefully, well, it shows that they're not abandoning that technology just yet. What are you doing? You shaking something up? Were you shaking something up?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sounds really loud on the thing.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. What else?
Yeah, and our existing PlayStation Move controllers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I say our, but neither of us own a PlayStation Move controller.
I actually do.
Do?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I actually have because I bought it initially for Killzone 3, so I did have the gun peripheral that came with it.
How'd that work out?
It's pretty awesome. I actually beat it with that gun, but I don't need it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was difficult at first, but then I got used to it. But then it's like it's not something I really want to use again, so to speak. Maybe if I had a little bit more room in my house or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, I would say stick to the controller. It works.
Yeah, I mean, I've been close to. I've been considering getting a Move for a while.
Right.
But I just can't see myself using it for more than just a couple hours and then never touching it again.
Yeah. So
maybe in PlayStation 4, if they integrate it more or include it in the console,
which would be awesome,
then I'll be down. I'll be into it.
Yeah.
But can't really see it.
Yeah, and then okay, so these guys, Bungie, they had their own sort of press conference on Sunday, but they didn't really show too much until now. They showed a little bit more than they showed before, but still not enough. But Destiny, what do you think so far? Like, again, another game that'll take advantage of this new social infrastructure that they're starting, but it's a game that not only will be on quote unquote the next gen, but it still will be a PS3 and presumably an Xbox 360 title. What do you think of the little they did show of the gameplay? Something interesting?
Interesting, but they still haven't shown enough for me to be like, oh, I need this.
Right.
All they've been saying is, it's Bungie. Get it.
Yeah. No.
And they've been showing a little bit, but not enough. Like, it's going to be only online. It's not going to have a single player.
No, well, experience. It is a... Okay, from what I am gathering, it is a single-player game in that it does have the same infrastructure as a single-player game. You go on the missions. The only thing is that they're taking the fact... Okay, like, when you're playing Halo, like, you never play Halo, but you can play Halo online in terms of having a couple of buddies jump in on your missions with you. They're taking that and blowing it out with a more MMO-like feel. But at the same time, each member has their own sort of mission they can go on by themselves and stuff like that. What I'm not sure is it always connected? Do you need to be connected? Which I hopefully, if it's not an MMO, then you should not have to be connected all the time. But if you do have to be connected all the time, they really need to come out and say, yeah, it is an MMO, right? Even though it's not a subscription fee based MMO, if you have to be connected all the time and it's a shared universe, it's an MMO, and they need to own up to that. But because they're saying it's not an MMO, one can only assume that it's still a single player game that you get the full benefits of this game if you play it online. Is how
So is
I'm looking at it.
this? But is the game? Is it basically? Was it Eve Online? Not Eve Online. The spin-off Dust 514 or whatever it's called.
Right.
Is
It
it 514?
You're asking if it is actually that game or is it like that game?
Is it like that game? Are they
Um.
basic, are they
Well,
similar?
Dust 514 I don't think has a story. It's just more of like skirmishes.
Uh huh.
While this is a story, you play like I forgot what they call those guys, but like Earth was like damn near ravaged and destroyed until like a group of aliens came and sort of rescued us from the brink of destruction and appointed certain individuals with these powers and I guess other alien factions come to sort of start war, and then because you play one of these blessed individuals to sort of protect the Earth. So in that way, you do have a story mission in that you do go on this journey, but you can go on journeys with, and you, it's not like a Halo where it's Master Chief and everybody else plays either as Master Chief or somebody like Master Chief or an ODST member. You create the character that you're about to play, so it doesn't have I guess, a main protagonist that's widely known. You create your protagonist. So I think that in that way, it's like an MMO. The question I'm trying to figure out, and which they haven't really revealed yet, is if you have to be always connected to enjoy this universe, or you can play this universe offline. So, well, now my question to you is: do you think they really should have taken the opportunity now? They had two times during the course of this week. Should they have like at least blown out their game a little bit more than what they did now?
I think they should have because I still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Even after listening to you talk for like 5 minutes about that, it's still I don't know what this game is, and I'm not that interested yet.
Yeah, because especially the fact
I
that
mean, the
they,
Halo fans are interested because it's from Bungie.
yeah,
I never played Halo, so I don't really care.
right,
But you know, I'm sure they'll have something super fancy at E3 to blow my socks off,
right,
and then I will be like, oh, I'm in or I'm out. But right now, it's a non entity
right.
for me.
So yeah, the fact that they had two times during this week and they still, it's like almost as if they're raising more questions than actual answers. Maybe they're going for that sort of intrigue where it's like, okay, at least we're talking about it and we're sort of like, oh, want to know more about this game. So maybe that's what they're going for. But again, I wish I knew more about this game than I actually do now.
Yeah.
And then when Blizzard actually came out now, we were like, oh my God, Blizzard. This is like something I've never really thought I would see. Blizzard walking out at a console press conference. Not just that it's a Sony conference, but walking out on a console press conference and, wondering, okay, what game are they announcing? Is it a new IP? Is it World of Warcraft? But it turns out that it's Diablo 3, which is also still good. It's a big title. So, and also will be showing up on the PS3 as well. So
Yes, and I really loved his presentation. His "one couch to rule them all"
right,
quote. I mean, if you've been listening to the show, you know how much I appreciate couch multiplayer, split screen, or
yes,
not split screen, single
yeah,
screen, whatever.
because he said it
But
will basically be zooming out if it's four people playing at the same time. They'll probably just zoom out the camera
it's
a little bit.
very important to me to be able to play locally.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust playing with my friends on the couch
Mm-hmm.
much more than I trust playing with strangers online.
Because you'll be able to just reach your hand over to slap somebody's in their head if they're playing like a douche.
Exactly.
um,
So, I mean, I don't really know anything about Diablo,
yeah.
but by reputation and by the co-op feature set, local co-op feature set, uh, I'm down. I'm in.
And then another difference, even though they didn't mention it in the conference, but they did mention it in an interview afterwards. Okay, so the PC version is basically like a point and click. Like if you wanted to move, you sort of have to click the mouse where you want the character to move to. Um, but
You can get direct control
yeah,
in this one,
yeah,
kind of like the way they changed the Monkey Island games
right.
when they released those on PS3.
Yeah, so no, would you? Well, actually, I'll save that. This kind of ties into a question I'll ask at the end. So I'll save that one. Um, Next game we can talk about is Watch Dogs, which a lot of people assumed when they saw that tech demo. Well, when they saw the demo in E3 last year, they were like, "Oh, this is definitely next gen." You kind of disagreed that it wasn't next gen; it was current gen.
I did.
But which you probably are not wrong because they do. I think they did say that it is coming out for the current gen, but the demo that they did show, even though it was on a PC, but it was a PC meant to match the specs of what the PlayStation 4 will have. Um, but yeah, it is officially going to appear on the PS4, and of course, there's something that you didn't see. We saw a lot of people saw on somebody else's demo of the game that it looks like there was somebody else watching um, the character play. Like it's gonna feature an online component. This again wasn't mentioned on the press conference, but it was mentioned in an interview later, which surprised me why they didn't mention it in the conference. That the multiplayer for this game, instead of having like a separate multiplayer and a single player campaign, they actually mix them both. Where while you're playing your game, you're playing it as if it is a single player game. You're going about your business, but you're seeing other people walking around in that world. And I guess you can sort of go to like an arena to do your multiplayer thing, like shoot, capture the flag, whatever, instead of actually quitting the game and going to a multiplayer aspect of it. It's actually in that same world. So while you're doing a mission, I could see you just run across me doing your own mission. They didn't mention if you'll be able to help me out on my mission or not, which I would assume why wouldn't you be able to do it. So this leads me to my other thing where is like, is this going to be a new movement with Destiny having this and Watchdog having this, and I'm sure a lot of games coming up in the future will have this. Is it going to be a new movement of games having a single player campaign as they always have before, with cutscene and all, but having it be an online single player game? Is this a new
I
movement?
I hope so because that sounds super cool.
So yeah, that sounds great. Just
I mean, as long as they're not like too many people in the city,
right.
otherwise it'll just be anarchy.
Yeah, yeah,
But if like they limit it, like kind of each single player person is like a lobby,
yeah.
and you can fit like I don't know 4 or 5 people in there,
Right. I think they'll do. I mean, the size of the place looks like maybe like
like
25.
without really telling you that you're playing with someone else.
Yeah.
Kind of just you're walking around doing your mission, and you come across someone else
Hmm.
by sheer chance doing their own mission.
Right.
I mean, I like the idea of being of 2 people or 4 people or more
Right.
in one game world
Uh-huh.
doing their own things, but not seeing the other people. Kind of like if there's a car chase
Uh-huh.
and you stroll by doing your own mission later and you see the wreckage
Mm-hmm.
and be like, oh, wow, someone had a car chase here. I missed it.
Right. Right.
And then just by chance meeting up with them
Mm-hmm.
and deciding to, team up to have some fun or to just beat the shit out of each other. I
Yeah.
think that that is a multiplayer experience that I would sign up for.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looks like you know, looking forward to the next generation. They're gonna really emphasize, social aspect, which gaming. I guess gaming is no longer an isolated experience anymore. It's the thing that keeps us coming back is the fact that we're playing with other people, we're getting to meet new people, which could be a good or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. You know, like if we're now um, texting and playing games online, that we may totally get rid of the whole experience of actual face to face communication.
Right. And if you don't want to play online, then just
Yeah, just
unplug your Ethernet cable. I'm
um,
sure that they will have just like a switch. I don't think that the console will require you to be online to play.
yeah, that was again they haven't mentioned that yet, but I really hope not. Oh, so the question I wanted to ask you now. So seeing as how they do say it's going to be on the next gen titles, well, PS4 so far. Looking at the graphics, you still think that that's not actually a next gen sort of look to it,
Well, I guess as an open world, I guess it is, but
right?
I don't think Watch Dogs is going to be the most visually impressive title.
Right,
I do think that this demo looked better than the last one.
right. Especially
I
the
think
fact that
that visual.
most of the last one was at night. Like it was inside the club, and then by the time he got outside of the club, it was night. So you really didn't get to see the sort of spectacle of the city, so to speak.
Hmm.
But this one, you really, especially him moving against the cars, you saw the light reflection of the cars and stuff like that. It was pretty amazing.
Yep.
Um, Now, my other question to you is, looking at how games like Killzone looks, games like how well this one, Watch Dogs. Looking back at the demo of Ground Zeroes, do you still think that was running on current gen tech, or could
Shoot,
that possibly have
shoot.
been? Uh,
I mean, when I think about it, maybe not,
right.
but I would not be surprised if it was. Just really, really pushing it.
Hmm, hmm.
Uh, I'm playing Metal Gear Rising now, and when I look at that, sometimes, especially with the character model and some of the animations,
Right.
and it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is the limit. This is as far as current gen is going to be able to go.
Hmm.
But I'm just waiting for Ground Zeroes to prove me wrong.
Right. So, and now, because the thing is, now we have to really start thinking about how all the games we've seen between E3 and now that a lot of people speculated that was next gen, that we weren't really sure because we didn't know exactly when the next gen will actually occur. But at least now we have a window, as Sony has announced that holiday 2013 is the sort of target release that they're looking for. So it's pretty soon. It's gonna be in this year. It's gonna be during the holiday season. So we're thinking October, November, type of deal.
Yeah,
Um, Excited for that? You're happy that it's this year and not as opposed to it being next year. Summer or next year in the fall. What I mean. It's like right here. We can see
yeah,
how.
it is earlier than I thought it'd be.
Yeah. I mean, there've been when looking back at sort of the console cycles, um, this has been the longest cycle out of all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still not as long as they were hoping it would be, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
They
mean,
were going for 10 years,
well, the
and
10
and,
year,
and, and there will still be PlayStation 3 games well
yes,
into the PlayStation 4's life cycle.
yeah. So the 10 years still could exist. It's just more of an overlap, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, like especially with how the industry was going, with the I guess a lot of people have been falling off what's going on in the gaming industry because of the fact that there's, all of them are saying the generation has been going on a little bit too long, lack of innovation, and to some fact it was even holding back the PC market as well. In that you still have these game developers, even though they so want to sort of tap into the power of PC gaming, they have to consider the mass majority of people who buy games are still console owners. So they only so far they can go with differentiating the two SKUs. So I'm sure they're happy to be able to sort of push that envelope a little bit more with the new gen coming in. Um, yeah, so holiday 2013. Is this something you'll get? Well, granted, you probably have to know a little bit more information, but based on what you know so far, could you tell me if this is a must get right away, early adopter on this one?
I can see myself being an early adopter. It depends on how much money I have.
Right.
Really, whether or not I'll be getting it within the first couple months.
Yeah. Now the rumor, and I guess it's not true not anymore because the rumor did suggest that you'll probably hear this price on the conference. But since we didn't hear that, then maybe we can actually dispel that rumor. But the rumor was that it will be costing around like two SKUs, $429 and $529. Too expensive still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So especially $529, which is close to the $600 that it was before. I don't think Sony wants to pass anything above 400, but still like around 400. You think you'll be able to, sort of snatch this one up?
Yeah, I could.
But yeah,
I mean,
hopefully it's around.
prefer it to be 329, 429.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it's around that area, but like, yeah, my I can see myself really getting this, first, first adapter on this one. The PlayStation, I don't remember getting all the PlayStations I've gotten was always in mid. Well, I would say like 1 to 2 years into the cycle. I've never really gotten it like right away. This could be the first, since I have my own money now, because all the rest was like not my own money, except for not my own money. The PS3 was even a present too, so
Uh,
this will be the first one I can actually say I'll buy myself, and since it's my own money, then I could, make that decision whether to buy it right away or not. But so far, with the components that I'm seeing so far, I would say I would buy it day one. I'll pre-order it. Who knows? And of course, they've saved a lot for obviously E3, so we'll definitely see the form factor. E3 will probably get more information on what kind of specs this thing has, and of course, probably different games that are coming out for this thing. Um, so yeah, it was enjoy. So what would you grade the press conference in terms of enjoyability or surprises or not? What would you give it if you had to give it a letter grade?
a letter grade, I'd say probably, I mean, just as a reveal,
Yeah.
like a B, probably.
Yeah, I would give it a B. B, B plus.
You
I
know,
would.
it wasn't like the greatest thing of all time. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't an A, but
Uh-huh.
I like all the presentations. You know, they showed us the individual parts.
Right.
You know, they showed a lot of really cool individual things. We haven't seen them come together in such a way
Hmm.
yet. You know, they showed us the game demonstrations, which showed off kind of the power of the console, but also sometimes being just like a supercharged PS3 kind of thing.
Right. Right.
But they showed us the individual demos, like the 1 million blocks falling in Havoc
Right. Yeah.
physics, which was awesome,
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
David Cage's facial rendering technologies, which was awesome,
Cool.
and
I was.
other individual tech demos,
Yeah.
which were all just incredible. But we'll have to wait till E3
Hmm.
to see how they come together.
Yeah. So yeah, I was actually I was thinking when David Cage came out, he was actually going to show the singularity game that he was kind of advertising with the whole buying the singularity PS4.com domain. So I was thinking, wow, is he gonna show something? But then I guess the fact that Beyond is not out yet, they wouldn't really want to pimp out a new game.
Exactly.
Yeah, so but I guess we'll have to wait till Beyond comes out before they talk about some new stuff. Um, so yeah, that was our look back. Oh, I would have given it an A maybe if they at least showed the console itself maybe. I don't know. All right, so that brings us to the end of the show.
Well, we have a little bit more. We've got a piece of news, and we have my theory.
Come again? You have what?
It, we have a piece of news, which
Okay.
is that a new Mass Effect DLC is on its way.
Oh, right, right.
That'll reunite with the cast of the first two games, and it comes out March 5th.
Uh huh.
So for any fans of that, there you go. And yeah, you often have various harebrained theories, and now I have one regarding Metal Gear Solid.
Right. Go ahead.
We have one or two games coming up in the future, not counting Rising, which is excellent.
Right.
We have Ground Zeroes, and we have Metal Gear Solid 5, which
Right.
may or may not be Ground Zeroes.
Right.
Now, I've mentioned before that I was thinking that Ground Zeroes could be a downloadable game,
Mm-hmm.
and 5 will be coming out after. But I've refined that into something way cooler.
Okay.
We have all this talk of cross platform games, at the start of a console's life cycle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like Watch Dogs will be on both consoles. Diablo 3 will be on PS3 and PS4, etc., etc.
Right.
I predict that Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes will be on PlayStation 3,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and Metal Gear Solid 5 will come out very soon afterwards, less than a year,
Right. On the
on PlayStation 4, and there will be two separate games.
Ah. Okay.
That is my harebrained prediction.
Well, that doesn't sound too out there.
Well, that's not to someone who thinks that Castle should be part of the Marvel
So
superhero.
that's what I'm saying. Like with your
That's
prediction.
exactly what you said.
No, no, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not too out there.
Not for anyone who thinks that I don't know, Christopher Nolan should direct the Justice League.
That's not harebrained, goddammit. That's
That's
a
so
smart decision.
harebrained.
That's a smart decision.
Yeah.
So, anything else interesting?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
But yeah, the Mass Effect DLC sounds interesting. Still haven't played 3 yet, but I'm getting around to it. Getting around to it. So many goddamn games.
I know.
And then, of course, the Metal Gear news story could be true. Let's see what happens with that.
Yeah,
Even though I think Ground Zeroes is probably still a next gen title.
we'll see.
I think
We'll
it's
see.
done
You,
with the
you may be
project.
right. I may be right. You may be right. We may both be right.
Yeah,
We'll
but then,
probably be both.
yeah, but then if it's a prelude, the fact that he's like,
That was the word that tipped me off.
yeah,
Prelude. It's a prologue
yeah,
to. First I thought that meant maybe downloadable game, but now I think it means PS3.
right. All right, so let's see. We'll keep an eye out on that one. I'm sure by E3 we'll find
A,
out everything
a
about it.
record for games per console. We had two Metal Gear Solids on PlayStation 2.
Uh-huh.
So far, we have two Metal Gears on PS3.
Right.
And if Ground Zeroes comes out, it'll be a record.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It already is a record if you include Peace Walker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's because it came out too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't think that counts. I think we're talking about developed for.
Right. And you're enjoying Rising?
Oh yes, I am very much so.
Okay. Now they're saying it has a short campaign. Like, are you almost done with it? Are you done?
I'm not done yet. The levels have been long,
Mm-hmm.
but two of the levels have been very short.
Oh, okay.
So I think I'm at the last stage now.
All right, cool.
But so I've got it says something like 5 or 6 hours,
Uh-huh.
but it does not count time spent in cutscenes or in codec.
Right.
And true to Metal Gear, to the spirit of Metal Gear, there's a lot of codec
Uh-huh.
conversations to be had. So the playtime is actually longer than what it says.
Now, is the cutscene as long as it was in Metal Gear Solid 4?
For better or worse, no.
Okay.
Sometimes you feel kind of lost because you feel like, oh, I think there should have been a little more exposition here.
Yeah.
Kind of, you'll say, all right, we're gonna go do a thing, and then it cuts to them having done the thing.
Oh, okay.
So it is a much faster pace than previous games.
And then another sort of complaint I've been getting from reviewers is that, well, it's not really a complaint. It's just them making fun of it. The whole thing, like the story's pretty much out there. Do you get that sense, or do you feel that it's in tune with the Metal Gear Saga
It's
or
way in tune
mythology?
with the Metal Gear Saga, and especially with the character of Raiden. I mean, Raiden, call me crazy, but since Metal Gear Solid 2, Raiden's been maybe my favorite character
Right.
in Metal Gear.
Hmm.
Um, and the arc that he's going through is very in tune to his development, both from Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 4. And I can't wait to see where he ends up by the end of the game,
Okay.
because it's a trip, especially for the long-time fans.
All right. So basically, fans of the Metal Gear Saga won't think this story is a little bit too out there for them. It would be like, oh, they're
Yeah,
changing the formula.
it's a little bit in the future, and it's justified. They justify the leaps in technology
Right.
in a surprisingly clever and plausible way.
Any
And yeah,
yeah. Any Snake Easter
nope,
eggs?
not yet.
Okay. Like to say, oh yeah, by the way, Snake is chilling
Nope.
in the
They've
sky.
mentioned him a couple times,
Uh-huh.
but we don't know his nor Otacon's whereabouts.
Okay. All right. Sounds
I'll give other characters who may or may not show up will be a surprise for the gamers.
cool. 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 Okay, I'm excited. Can't wait to get my hands on it.
Oh yeah.
All right. So with that said, the giveaway is ending tomorrow, so still time to sort of get on it and you know enjoy it. All right. So that will bring us to the end, the real end of the show.
Yeah.
Um, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you're listening to us from the iTunes, just do some favors and leave us a comment, a star rating. And of course, you can also hear it on Stitcher Radio as well. And if you have any questions or feedback, email us at gamersgalaxypodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to find us on the Twitter, my handle is at @MarkyTundra. What about yours, Zach?
It's got my name, Zach Wojnar.
And of course, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/popculturegalaxy, and hit that like button. That's always appreciated. And of course, popculturegalaxy.com, where you can find all your entertainment goodies. All right, so I want to end this with my usual peace.
Indeed.